1952. But I just sat and watched them play because I didn't have the experience or nothing, but it was fun. It was George Micanera and all those guys. They were really good.
That's great. So when you do finally make it to Milwaukee in 1954, you have a great rookie season, 14-9. Then you pitch in the All-Star game the next year. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what Milwaukee was like when they opened County Stadium and finally had a major league team? What was the city like?
Well, I didn't get there the first year, in '53. They tell me it was really, really terrific, but I don't know how it could be any better than '54, because the fans, they were just so loyal and anxious to have that major league team, and they saw them in '53, so they knew they had something. And the sponsors, the owners of different companies and stuff, would give us everything, free laundry and free milk and ice cream and butter, and we had a car to use all summer. It just treated us nice, but it was the fans that showed up at the ballpark that really made the difference, because we could be playing one of the teams that were lower in the standings in an afternoon game, and they have 35,000 people there at the ballpark. I mean,
big change from Boston.
Huh? It was a big change from the minor leagues, that's for sure. And I'm sure the fans, it really hurt when they broke it up. They really felt bad, I think.
Well, why don't we talk about that All-Star game, which was in Milwaukee, 1955?
That was a thrill for me. I was pitching real well in '55, and before the All-Star game, a couple of games before, I was pitching against Philadelphia, and I threw an overhand curveball and I heard something kind of pop in my shoulder, and it did bother me because my fingers and arm was a little bit numb. So I pitched the rest of the out, and then they took me out. But it bothered me ever since then. And matter of fact, they sent me to Mayo Clinic to see if they could do something, and it was nothing but it was a cuff. At that time, they didn't do anything. They just give you needles, and I took needles in my arm mostly the rest of my career. But
wow. That game, you had quite a few. I think you struck out the side in the 12th inning. Right?
That was just, I don't know how I did it, to tell you the truth, because I think they were looking for something faster. Tell you the truth, they were all out in front. I saw films of it, and they were all out in front. And one of my daughters says, "Dad, didn't you throw harder than that?" I said, "No, that was all I could do."
Yeah, not a bad trio. You struck out Al Kaline, Mickey Vernon, and Al Rosen.
Yeah.
And then Stan Musial won it for you in the bottom of the 12th.
That was really exciting, because I got a standing ovation, and Hank Aaron didn't even start the game. That was his second year up, and I remember I was sitting next to him, and Stan Musial came up, first hitter of the inning, and he says, "Hank, we don't get paid for these games, do we? Overtime games."
Now, the first time you had played both sports, well, obviously it was high school. At Washington State, did you focus primarily on basketball, or did you play baseball there too?
I played baseball both. I played them both, and basketball, I couldn't play till my sophomore year in those days. So at my sophomore year, I did lead. I was second in the coast in scoring and led our conference. And we played UCLA in the coast playoffs against Johnny Wooden's team. And Johnny Wooden was only his second year man there then. And we would have beat them. They beat us down there by one basket by some guy that had real thick glasses and threw one in about half court. And Johnny Wooden, to this day, I saw him afterwards in Springfield one time at a Hall of Fame dinner, and he laughed about it and everything. And he said, but I always thought we'd have beat him at Washington State, because the park there, the field house only sit 1,200 people. It's a little bitty, looked like a YMCA court, and they beat us by 1 point there.
Wow. Now, just is there anything you have to say, any memories you have particularly of the '57 championship season, just how special a year that was?
It was really special, because everything happened. Red Shandy's was with the club then, and they brought a guy in named Bob Hazel. Hurricane
Hurricane
Hazel, they
Hazel,
called
right,
him.
yeah.
And he could do no wrong. And he won maybe 3 or 4 ball games, you know, just on timely hits and so forth. And we were all excited. And I know I was pitching. He was using me as a bullpen and starter at that time. And late in the year, he started me, and I pitched real well through July and August and early September. So I was kind of happy about that.
And didn't Aaron clinch the pennant with a home run?
Yeah, and I got the win.
Oh, wow. Pennant clinching win. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Didn't get a start in the World Series, though.
No.
I guess they went with
well,
Burdette,
why would it with Lou Burdette
Right.
pitching? Oh, that was, to me, that was the most, that's bothered me ever since I've been out of sports. I don't know why Lou Burdette hasn't got more credit for what he achieved in a World Series in 1957.
won 3
You
games.
have to look at it,
Yeah.
three complete games. And I'd pitched against the Yankees later when I was in the American League, and I knew how tough they were, but they were much tougher in the 57 area, in that era. 56, 57, 58, they were great.
Yeah.
And that's when Lou was at his peak.
You guys almost beat him twice.
beat the hardest team in
Yeah.
baseball. So I really think we had a better ball club than they did.
It was I mean, you guys were 1 or 2 games away from winning 4 pennants in a row.
And we were deep in pitching. We had guys that could, well, Spahn, Burdette, and Bob Buell were mostly and then there was about 4 or 5 of us that battled for the 4th pitcher at that time. So we were deep. We had Pizarro and Joey J. Oh, there was a bunch of guys that could pitch.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to the Milwaukee fans that are at the banquet tonight?
Well, I just like to say I wish I could be there, but I've got arthritis so bad that I don't even travel anymore, and I'd like to be there just to see a lot of the old players and shake hands with a lot of fans, because I know they wouldn't come unless they liked the Braves, former Brave players, and it's just bothers me a lot, but I know they'll have a good time, and I appreciate what some of the writers have done for the TP and so forth, and Johnny working so hard to get that monument there in Milwaukee to show all our names on there, that people that came through the Milwaukee Braves.
Yeah, it must make you
chain.
feel proud to know you're going to be on there.
That really means a lot, that monument, and any honors they give me, well, I'll take them. But you know, I appreciate it, and I hope I deserve a little bit of it.